Did you bring this from me? Oh, sorry. Turn it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the EIP Lounge. This is your boy, Mr. I Am, and I'm here with,
Your girl, Miss Jareen.
ladies and gentlemen. First, I want to take the opportunity to shout out Mr. Rooms, who's not in the building today, and also Shay,
First Lady Shay.
that's not in the building today, but we are thinking of them, and I hope we'll see them soon or hear from them soon. But today, we have a great topic with a great show and a great guest. I want to introduce to you my homegirl, Rita Pearl. How you doing, Miss Rita Pearl?
I'm
Building.
wonderful, Teddy. How are
Yeah,
you?
I'm okay. You know how I am. Each and every day. So,
Welcome. Thank you for
you.
coming.
Thank you.
so today's topic will be about date, also relationships with kids. I know that's interesting, and I know that it can be hard, the transition and everything like that. I know one of my other guests is supposed to be coming on live, but he's not here as yet. But we'll still get this conversation started. So let's get this conversation started. Why should we?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not?
Yes, let's get
Why
it
not?
started.
Okay.
Let's start off with Miss Rita Pearl. If you just want to tell us a little bit about you and
Yes.
yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I guess what do I do in that? Okay.
Yeah. Who are you? How are you with our topic?
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, I have a son, and he's gonna be 12 this year, and I spent about 9 years of his life as a single mom.
Okay.
So I kind of wanted to speak to that piece, which is like being a single mom and dating and what that's like and how it affects you, how it affects the child, that type of thing. I guess, right? Yeah.
Right.
Or whatever questions that you guys have, I'll try to answer.
No
them
problem. Thank you
best
for
I can,
coming.
Yeah.
And myself, I'm a single mother too. I have 3 kids, so
Oh, wow.
I have a few stories on navigating the dating world with children.
You are a superwoman. let me
Yeah,
just say
thank
that.
you.
Yes, indeed.
Thank
Shout
you,
out to
thank
all
you.
the single ladies and the single parents. Single mothers out there.
Right.
You're greatly appreciated. So let's get started. Miss Rita Pearl. What has been the most interesting situation you've been in regards to being a single parent and having your son? What would be the most interesting situation like in terms of dating?
Into the dating?
Oh, interesting. I don't know if I'm just trying to think of what would have been interesting.
Well, like for example, someone come up to you and they want to get to know you, and you say that the conversation happens where you mention that you have a son. What's
Yeah.
what has been the reaction?
I like that. What's the, what, let's start from the beginning.
Okay, yeah.
Let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
So you
Okay.
have your son, you are a single mother for 9 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so from the beginning, when you were newly single,
Yeah.
without having to share and divulge too much information,
Uh-huh.
when you became newly single, from what period of time were you newly single to when you decided to start dating?
I have a bit of a problem. I'm a bit of a serial monogamist, if that's
Okay.
what it takes. I tend to fall pretty quickly. I think that's my problem. And I think that has been the bane of my existence in terms of my relationships and how they've weathered the storm, so to speak. I think it's important to take a little time in between. Like I've come to that realization.
Right.
But I also believe that children are the best meter for whether someone is might be good for you or might not be good for you.
Okay.
Right, I like that.
So that I think is something that I learned as well.
Yeah, I like that. I like, well, first of all, I don't think that serial monogamy or falling fast is a problem. I just
Okay,
think,
I can name a few celebrities where I have the same traits as them. Like, okay, I kind of watch astrology a little
Yeah.
bit. So, pretty much, I would say any celebrity with the same sign as me is in the exact same situation.
Yeah.
Or they
And I think it's
has the
you
exact
just
type.
love differently.
I love to. I love. I think I love quickly.
Yeah.
I love deeply.
And that's okay.
And I love blindly. I think, which is probably the piece that we need to work on.
Right.
But, I mean, I think I'm definitely better. I'm not beating myself up. I'm definitely better. I'm definitely a work in progress. But being someone who's always likes to be in a relationship.
Right.
It can create it can be, it's been a struggle in some situations, and then in other situations it actually ended up being, it worked out.
Okay.
So.
And you said something that I found really interesting, and it's that children are a great meter. They're able to measure if that person is compatible with you and your child.
Absolutely.
What brought you to that conclusion? Was there a certain situation? Was your son really young at the time, or?
Yeah, he was young. Young. I think around the time the relationship ended, around the time he was 5.
Okay.
So, and I just remember after the relationship ending, him getting in the bed with me in my bed one morning after waking up and saying, he said, "It's okay, mommy. We'll find a daddy. We're gonna find a daddy." He wasn't the daddy, mommy. He wasn't. That wasn't him. So, I think when you're not listening to the Most High, which is who you should be first listening to,
right.
I think you should really listen to your children.
Yeah. They tend to know.
Yeah. They do.
So, man, that was deep. Man, I don't even know where to go from there.
I know for myself, like when my marriage ended, I just decided like I was going to have 2 lives. You know what I mean? So I was going to have my private life, and then I was going to have my life with my children. The two would overlap in some ways, but they never really intersected, right?
Which is good.
Yeah. So if I'm going away for the night or the weekend, it's, hey guys, I'm going to Auntie so-and-so's house, knowing I'm not going to Auntie so-and-so's house. I'm going to man's house. You know what I mean?
I like that.
But just because I didn't want them to just have that thought in their head. My marriage wasn't the best marriage, and it ended very badly. So I just wanted them to heal from that. But I also, wanted to.
You have to protect them.
Yes.
You're protecting them.
I wanted to protect
because
them.
You're not in that space to introduce them to anyone. So
Right.
why? I mean,
Right.
I'm the same with my son.
Yeah, exactly.
Same. And when I'm single, nobody comes to the house.
Yeah.
Nobody's coming.
And
There's
a lot
no
of
men
men-
coming in. There's no men. He's not seeing a multiple, men coming in and out.
Right.
None of that. Never,
Right.
ever. Anything that's going in is going in outside
Outside of the house.
somewhere,
Yeah. And keep it very
of my
separate.
choosing.
And it's unfortunate. I don't know if you had the same experience. Like you meet someone and you tell them, I don't bring people to my house. And it's like, oh, you live with man? Oh, who you live with what? And it's like, I really don't. Trust me.
Yeah.
I just don't bring men to my house. And
if we don't like, I just met you. I don't know you from a hole in the wall.
Right.
We don't know if we're gonna be in a relationship.
Right.
And I mean, I think it affects boys different from girls.
Right.
But you don't want to show your children. There's a couple pieces you don't want to show them. As a
Right.
girl, you don't want to show your girl child that it's okay to have different men in and out of the house.
Exactly.
And as a boy, you don't want to show him how to treat women in the future. So,
Right.
You got to show him that your mom has got a little class about herself, so that at least because remember, from a boy's perspective, mommy's the benchmark for every woman that he's going to be with in the future. Right. So, so for that reason, I think it's important to protect them. I had friends like that too. We used to always have a different man, or all the time in the relationship, in and out of the house. The kids become confused. They don't know who daddy is. They don't know who uncle is.
Right.
And that's what she keeps calling him. She's calling them, one of them daddy. This one's my best. One my friend. One's this. So kids become confused, and then kids also You know, we can say as much as we want to our kids, do as I say, don't do as I do.
Right.
But we all know that they it's always monkey see, monkey do
right.
with children.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. So let's go into then. You started to date, or you met somebody and whatnot. When is the right time for you guys to introduce that somebody to your kids, and what do you say?
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had a good track record in terms of good timing to me, like to introduce. Like I should have probably taken a little more time to get to know the person before introducing my son. But especially like I think I'm usually more open when it's someone who has children of their own.
Yes.
And also is an active parent.
Yes.
I don't want, just because you have a picnic, don't mean that you're taking care of your child. It just means you have children.
Right.
You know what I mean? Are you a mother? Are you a father? Right.
Right.
Is the thing. Are you active? Do they know you? Do you spend time with them?
Share that
Do you
responsibility.
talk about them when we have conversations? I want to hear about your child. Once I know that, you know, I can sense and feel that the love that a man has for his child, then that would actually make me more inclined to think about, you know, that introduction at some point. Now I won't do that. I will take more time. I'll do the same thing, but I would just take more time with introducing. But again, I take a little solace in other parents.
Right.
If it was a single man, it would take a little longer for someone who didn't have any kids yet.
Yeah.
So that was I wanted to get into that, but I wanted to hear from.
I'm a guest today. I'm a guest today. I'm a guest today. For me, again, like I said, I kept it separate for like a lot of years, but I just recently had a conversation with my son last year because I felt like, you know, they're a bit older now. I have 2 boys and a girl. 2 boys being the oldest. The oldest being 20 this year, my middle one is 16 this year, and my daughter's 12 this year. So last year is the time I felt like I can start to explore openly now. Because it gets tiring having to hide and, you know what I mean, talk on the phone in the car. And
your boys are grown adults.
Like, you know, so I actually had a conversation with my son, the older one, and said, hey, you know, this is what's happening. You know what I mean? Don't have any concerns, you know, because I think they were basing a lot of things on my marriage, right? So don't have any concerns. That situation will happen again. He said he's going to allow me. You know, he's like, you know, I'm going to allow you, Mom, because you're almost out the game. I'm 42. So he thinks I'm almost out the game.
So disrespectful.
Right? He's like,
how dare you say that mommy is out of the game?
You're almost out the game, so I'm going to allow you.
Oh, my goodness.
He definitely is just like, you know, be careful. And, you know, he appreciated that I had that conversation with him. I kind of had that conversation with my daughter. I had a conversation with all of them. Even my mother just had this conversation like, I'm going to be dating. You know what I mean? I'm going to be seeing people. I am not sleeping at, like, a girlfriend's house. I'm sleeping at a man's house. You know what I mean? Like, this is where I'm going.
Yeah, this is what it is. Yeah.
You have to trust me that I'm making better decisions. Not only that, I may meet someone and it doesn't work, and that's okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
But you're just dealing with it differently and handling it differently, and also protecting your family.
Yes.
This is the piece that, absolutely, and I think, you know, if that was ever the case for me, if I was ever unfortunately single again and had to, you know, start over, I would definitely do it that way. So I think that's because you know what? We grown at the end of the day. Right. You know, and we ain't dead. We ain't out the pasture. We ain't out the game. We ain't, because I'll be in the game in my 50s too. Thank you, sir. And I'm talking to my son. Your beautiful son.
Yes,
I hope you hear me, baby.
Yes.
Okay. In 20 years, we'll see if you out the game.
If you're out the game.
Well,
it could be both. You're almost out the game.
Okay.
Can you imagine?
We are called, your mother is she's what you call a kitten.
Thank you.
And I am a cougar. And it's okay.
Wait, okay. I'm sorry. Who's the kitten? And
she would be the kitten because she's younger than me.
Remember that.
She said her age, so I already know she's younger than me. So
Her.
Yeah.
Her.
Maybe
I was, I had to acknowledge that once I passed the 45-year-old mark, that I was no longer a kitten. I was officially a full-blown cougar. And I'm okay with it. I'm definitely still a MILF. It's all good.
Yes, and that's okay,
and I still get carded, so I'm good.
And I believe that looking at you, that you're not past 45. That's crazy.
Yeah, I've gotten to a place of acceptance, and I'm accepting my full cougarness, and I'm very happy about it. So all the cougars out there, let's just give it a round. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For Mr. Aya.
It's okay. You're approaching Jaguardom yourself, sir.
Excuse me?
Jaguar.
Jaguardom, yeah. I like that.
Bad man no puss, you know? Bad man's no puss.
Oh, you be a lion. You be a lion.
Lion.
Still a puss, though.
No puss. Actually, a bear. That's my.
Grizz. That's right.
That's
That's true.
So let me ask you a question. In regards to picking a partner, do you rather it be a single male or someone who have like kids?
I stopped making that a thing, like a man not having children, after I had my own. Because I feel, in my mind, I'm like, I never understand women who say, or men who say they want someone with no kids and they got kids. How can you? What do you mean? You're asking what? So what? You got a package, but you telling people not to arrive with their package? That's not fair.
Right.
Everybody should have the opportunity to date you if you have children, and if they have children, they. So before I had my son, I was like, nah, I would never date anyone with kids. I want a guy with kids. Once I have my son, I'm like, how can I ask someone to not have a child?
Right.
How can I limit my pool?
Right.
I could probably.
But in saying that, kids is not the issue.
Yes.
It's for me, it's how many baby mothers or fathers you have.
Okay.
That's the piece we can talk about.
Right.
Okay.
That's
fair enough.
Right.
Because if there's too many, there's too many,
it's a pattern.
Too much. There's too many chickens in the coop.
It's a pattern.
And the rooster's got a whole bunch of chicks. I don't need to be number 5.
Fair. That's
right.
Fair.
Right.
What about you, Mystery?
Well, I prefer to date a man that has kids. That's you not having kids is actually that's a red flag for me. Only because I know the responsibility it comes with having children, and I don't have time to see you all the time, and I want you to not have time to see me all the time.
That also depends on age, because I seem to attract young men. So,
so that's what happens. They don't have any kids.
Easy, Thundercats. Easy.
It's not my fault. Okay,
but and
I'm Cheetara, just so you know.
Yeah.
I prefer. That's what I prefer for myself, just because, and also that same, to speak to what you said about them being in their children's lives, because at the end of the day, I always say my kids don't need a father. They have a father. He's not a good one, right? But I want them to see what a healthy relationship looks like.
It. Absolutely.
Right? I want them to see a healthy relationship, and I want them to be able to see how this man interacts with their children.
Absolutely.
Right?
Agree.
So I don't need him to necessarily be dad, but I need him to...
Yeah, he just needs to be involved. Not necessarily, just be there.
Be there,
especially for your children at their age.
Yes,
they're probably like whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
but young kids need it a little more.
Yeah, they need a little more. They need a little more. So that's my reasoning behind dating.
For me, from my experience, to go back, I always said that I would never talk to somebody with kids again.
Why? You say
just
again.
based on my experience, because with my ex, it was.
I remember.
Yeah, it was more. It's more that I love the child, and she was jealous of it.
Of her own child.
Yeah. So
imagine that.
And then
it happens. It happened to me.
So then now it's like you get into a situation now, like when you've tried to do everything under the sun regarding the relationship, because you don't want to break up the relationship for the sake of the child.
Right.
Right? It gets hectic.
Right.
it gets hard, because then you have love for your ex, but you have love for the child, and and especially if they've been in a situation before
that wasn't good.
Exactly. So for me, it was kind of like, it was hard for me because I've tried everything under the sun. Therapy, I said, yeah, I'll go to therapy. I would do whatever.
That's a good man. I love that.
But it was just got to the point where it was just too much. And then.
But the point is that you gave it a go.
I gave it a go.
You gave it an old college try.
Yeah.
And that is respectful. That's what I like. This is what people seem to understand. This is how I like in relationships. And this is why I say people don't seem to understand. A relationship is work. Yeah. It is work. You see, like you do your 9 to 5. That's the same damn thing. It's work. What you put in is what you get out.
Right.
So if you are having problems and the two of you want to resolve them, knowing that there is a chance that you might not resolve them, but at least you know that you're giving it a good go, a good try. Meaning that you're trying all options. Whether it's counseling, as you said, right? Whatever it is, you're trying all options.
Right.
You give it as much as you can, and then guess what? If nothing sticks, then you move on.
At least you tried.
And then then who knows? Some people actually work and get through with doing things like that. Yeah. They can make, there's a breakthrough and their relationship is better than it's ever been. But the problem is people want a microwave relationship. People want you to automatically, you got to meet all their criteria and you got to be exactly the way that they want you to be. Otherwise, they don't want to continue. People have this very short, I don't know if it's like an attention span or what it is.
Right.
To, you know what I mean?
They love a lot of the now.
Yeah, they want everything and they want it now. They want it. They want it like McDonald's. They want it like fast.
Yes. They want it their way and now.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's hard because.
But it's not that.
Especially if you have so much love
for the
child, and then all of a sudden you have to tell them bye, and then I don't know, a couple years later you see them again.
I was just about to ask, like, what's your interaction with that child now?
Sorry.
It was hard.
I probably seen her maybe, I would say 4, 5, 6 years ago.
Okay.
And then, because I went by the house, and then she answered the door.
Wow.
And I was like, hi, right? Because I didn't know if she would remember me. So I was like, hi. And she's like, hi. And I was like, then the memories. The memories.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Of you holding the hand, you bringing them to the park.
Yeah.
You pushing it,
I know.
You know what I'm saying? And then it was kind of like, I just had to ask. I said, hey, do you remember me? She's like, yes, I remember you. And then she smiled, and and I wanted to like hug and whatnot, but I just had to kind of like, okay, I just thought you might have forgot, I'm who I am and whatever. And then she's like, oh no, I remember you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank God, my ex wasn't at the house.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah. It was difficult. It was difficult. But whatnot. So that's why at the time I wouldn't do it again. You know what I'm saying? But then once again, I met somebody, and if something, I think I would be able to handle it differently now.
Yeah.
Because in relationships, there's always.
And how would you handle it differently?
Well, how I would handle it differently, it was probably I would look at myself more. Because with that relationship, it was bad. You know what I'm saying? And to the point where I had to question myself. I had to question myself and whatnot. And now that being in a relationship where you're appreciated and everything,
right.
I would know for myself that if I'm doing wrong, I just build up the relationship, move forward.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, it wouldn't be as difficult as when I was in that relationship where I had to question myself and also feel like to the point where you don't recognize yourself.
Yeah.
How would you deal with someone differently if they had a child? Would you still be the same as?
I think I would be the same because I wasn't bad. I mean, there's things that I had to fix within myself, and I know this.
Yeah.
But I was willing to fix it within the relationship so we can move as a force
Right.
to go where we need to go.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I know for a fact that if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, is either my partner will let me know or I will know.
Right.
And because I am hard on myself, that's some of my issues.
Were you able to make the changes, necessary changes? I mean, in the end, or did it just not work out?
With my ex, you mean?
Because because Rome is not built in a day, and that's what people don't seem to understand. If you get into a relationship and you realize there are issues in that relationship, then you recognize what those issues are, then it's time to work. But work doesn't mean that it's going to be done in a month. Right. It doesn't mean that you're gonna.
It was overtime.
And it also doesn't mean that whatever you're doing is gonna change in 24 hours either.
Exactly.
You might continue to violate, and that's what people don't understand. There is no patience, no compromise, and no respect. I find in a lot of there's, like I said, and just no stick-to-itiveness, if you want to call it.
Right.
Stick to it. It can work. A lot of look at how many couples, the rare couples that are out there who have been together for 30, 40 plus years. You think they didn't go through hell and high water?
Right.
You think it was all roses and flowers and classical music at first? No. Some people went through drama, like abuse, cheating, whatever you want to call it. There's been a bunch of stuff that people go through, and they still managed to get through it. So I wonder about this generation. This is what I wonder about a lot of the generations coming up, but they have a totally different mentality, like I said. Yeah. Right? Everything just must be perfect and quick and right away.
And as you mentioned, sticking to it, do you think we hear about marriages and we, sticking to the marriage because of the children, right? We stay married because of the children. We do, because of the children. And usually that's within, again, I said, marital relationships. Do you think that's the same within dating relationships, that you stick to your partner because of the children? Yeah. Is it easier to leave because you're not married?
Yes.
Even though the children are involved?
I would say it is easier.
Yeah.
Of course it's easier because remember, if you're just in a relationship, actually I was with my son's dad for 11 years.
Wow.
So that was a perfect example of a common law relationship.
Right.
And but the only thing was we didn't sign anything and there was no marriage. So no official marriage. And so when it came time to leave that relationship, I left with my stuff and he left with whatever he did. And he had no claim to what I had and I had no claim to his, and we didn't even have a house, so it was fine. But when you're in a situation where, now that situation probably could have been different though. Had we had a house, it probably would have been a little more messy.
Right.
But in my situation, we didn't. But when you're in a marriage now, you got to go through, not the separation, the breakup, the separation, and then you got to think about now, okay, divorce,
the children,
and divorce, and how it's gonna affect. Like I can walk away from a relationship, a dating relationship, if it doesn't suit me. I can end it tonight and leave tomorrow. But a marriage is just is more complicated.
Do you take into thought though, if your son, suppose your son is really, has a good relationship with your partner and you're dating? Do you take that into consideration when?
Yes, I do. This is tough. This is a tough one.
Right.
And it's tough because on one hand, you have to focus on your own. You want your children to be happy with who you're with.
Right.
And sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. But the question you have to ask yourself is, okay, am I happy? And if I'm happy, how can we work on this so that he's happy,
right,
or she's happy,
right,
but if the child is, and if that child's happy, then that's great. If I'm not happy, and the child's happy, then I gotta figure out how to make this so that I am happy. Yes,
right.
But if I'm not happy and my child's happy, but I'm constantly not happy, it's gonna end. It's gonna end. I'm not gonna stay.
Yeah.
Just because right. But if my child is unhappy, like in either situation, I'm gonna stay as long as I can to try to make it work, right?
Right.
But if my child is unhappy, then I'm likely gonna have to end it eventually too.
Right.
I find, because it wouldn't make me feel good being happy and then seeing that my child didn't feel the same way. Yeah. And if it can't be resolved, then it does have to end, because I can't make my child go through that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, and I think that's why it's so hard as mothers to date, because the amount of moving parts, because, for example, it hasn't happened to me, but if I'm in a relationship, I'm dating and my kids aren't happy, it's for me now to understand, why are you not happy? Are you not happy just because I'm dating?
Right.
So it could be anybody.
What's the reason?
You know what I mean? You just don't like the idea of me dating? Or is it you don't like this person?
And if so, why?
Right? Now it's if so, why? Right? And if it's me just dating, now we have to have a conversation. Now, is there outside forces influencing you? That's another conversation.
That too.
There's so much moving parts when you're single and dating, especially as a mother.
Yeah.
So many moving parts.
Yeah. Because, and also too, depending on your child, like you said, moving parts of the child's age, like, when the man entered the child's life, there's like all these pieces that you have to factor in. But ultimately, if the cohesiveness of the relation of this would be a blended family, right? So if the cohesiveness of the blended family is not sticking,
right,
no matter what you do, and at the end, your child is unhappy, and if your child is justifiably unhappy,
yes,
then I think it's something to consider whether you should continue the relationship. Yeah. But if your child is just being a spoiled brat and you're happy, continue on. Because
and that's what it is, and that's where you have to decipher and wonder why is my son acting like this, or why is my daughter acting like this? You know what I mean? Is it just because they're being a brat?
And sometimes they're unhappy because the relationship is not working, and they can see that you're not getting along, or they can see you're arguing. And I get that piece too, but then fortunately they are a part of the piece of trying to make it work.
Yes.
So sometimes children do have to go through a little bit of suffering.
Right.
And I was one. My parents did argue quite. They were young.
Right.
So they didn't really understand what it was they were doing. And so they definitely had a lot of arguments. They didn't really get to fulfill the things they wanted to do in their life.
Right.
And yes, it affected us.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where we begged them to end.
It was too much for you.
When we were teenagers, like I was already a teenager, my sister a teenager, my brother was about probably my son's age.
Right.
So it was we were just like, we actually got to a point where we were like begging them, could you just like, you guys don't have to continue, because we knew that they were just doing it, trying to do it for us.
Right.
But again, children are not glue, and we have to also realize that.
Do you how do you feel about your son? Like, has your son ever called someone you were dating dad, or wanted to call them dad, or
I wouldn't say I would say lead? No, wanted. No,
you follow his lead.
I think I like to teach. You got to teach your children also about respect and how to respect adults. So
yes,
if my significant other has a particular name he likes to be called, and my son's is okay with, like, he's now, I will ask him now. Yeah. But when he was younger, he would he probably would just call them whatever they wanted to be called. But I think the lesson for me is, don't let your kids call anybody mommy or daddy until there's something like an actual solid connection established. Right. Until or until you feel like this person deserves that
and title. It's gonna be here for a while. And can build that relationship. Yeah. And I was just sitting here thinking, because you mentioned you were with your partner for 11 years, or your son's father for 11 years. Did you ever feel like you had to, and I know for myself, tell the father of your children that you are now dating or seeing somebody What was that like? If you,
boy,
yeah, because
no.
I would, that's a huge moving part.
Grizz is laughing because Grizz knows everything.
Yeah.
Grizz knows everything. Well, our situation was a little bit more. Oh God. Okay, so I never got to tell him because. So I ended it. It was literally 1 year after giving birth to my son.
Okay.
I ended it and moved out.
Okay.
And I moved on sometime after. And, but unfortunately, he had took me to court. So during the years that we were in court, those were the only times he really saw me. So I met someone else, Grizz knows, and Grizz, and he and I were dating, and he would go with me to court. So that was probably, actually no, the first time he's, so basically the way that my ex met my current was in a police station when we were doing an exchange for my son.
Wow.
So that was didn't go well.
Right.
It didn't go well.
I can't really imagine.
I got a lovely email, but of course, it wasn't about me. It was about his son being around other strange men, right? But it was really about me.
Of course, it always is. That's what it all.
No,
So-
I was about to just
Yeah.
come in and say,
95% of the time, that's what it's about. Yeah.
like,
So that so it wasn't like there was
Yeah.
no real nice warm way for that to happen, and we were at war at the time. So
but he was mad insecure in the same breath, because I would go and visit and say what's up, and he see me, yo, what's up, da 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 da, you know what I'm saying, and even try to help him with certain things and whatnot, and then all of a sudden I get a phone call, he thinks me and you are doing something.
Oh,
it's
okay.
like, what?
Right,
And he's cussing me out and whatnot.
Wait, he did that? I didn't even.
Yeah, come on, man. Like,
so much happened.
Like, it's not to like to go into the business and whatnot. I'm not trying to go into Rita Pearl's business, and whatnot, but I'm just saying it's just like
I didn't even know that happened.
Yeah, I remember. I believe I was helping you move.
Yeah.
Or whatnot.
Oh,
and then
that
you
day.
came down and you were like quiet, and I was like, what's going on? He says, well, he knows you're downstairs. I said, okay, can I say hi? He's like, no, it's not a good idea. So I said, what's going on? He says, well, he thinks there's something going on with you, and the only reason why you're helping me is because you're trying to distract him, or I'm trying to distract him
to be with me.
because I'm trying to be with. I was like, but I just talked to him last week.
Right.
Because he was inquiring about a job opportunity. Like I said, I don't want to go into too much detail.
Right.
It's
but
like that's not what it's all about. But I'm just saying it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
so just his own personality, you just weren't able to have that conversation about you dating someone else.
Well, first of all, I mean, when we broke up, I wasn't looking at dating. I wasn't thinking about dating. I was single and I was preoccupied with my son.
Right.
So I wasn't. But like I said, when it came time for him to know that I was dating, no, there was no talking between us. So it didn't.
Yeah.
So like I said, it just happened when it had to happen, and so he found out, and that's what it was.
Yeah, that's the same experience I have too. I didn't really have. Well, not even didn't really. I just have no conversation with him to know. He just doesn't need to be privy to what's happening in my life. But sometimes when he finds out, and they send that message, and then and it's like, don't have anyone around my kids, and I'm like, but I don't do that anyhow. But I don't need to explain that to you.
Yeah, nice.
But you don't have any involvement anyhow, so you have no right to speak
Exactly.
to who I'm dating,
Exactly.
how I'm dating,
Mine didn't
and
either.
if I'm dating, right? Like you have no right to speak to that.
Because he wasn't giving me nothing. He didn't
Exactly.
pay me no child support.
Thank you.
He wasn't even seeing
it
his
was
son
different-
after court was
right.
over.
If it was
he actually
different-
disappeared. So, you were only putting on a show for the courts.
Right.
That's all it really was. It was just about pretending to be a father.
Right.
And until you found out whether you could get him in court or not. not.
Right.
And once he found out he wasn't getting custody, he disappeared.
So it's about you.
He hasn't seen his son since he was 5 or 4.
Wow.
So for me, it really is not your damn business. I can do whatever I want. Me and you are not there. We never were. Bye.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it wasn't about the child, it was about you.
Yeah.
So they have no right. I think it's different co-parenting. That's why when you see people co-parenting, you have to realize that that's hard.
Very hard.
That, and they, like you said, they put in that work. And I can tell you about 9 times out of 10 is probably though that they both were doing what they were supposed to do as parents by themselves, you know?
Okay, I'm gonna have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about co-parenting? Let's say you're dating a guy.
Right.
And you and him are starting to get serious.
Yes.
He's got children with another woman. And the woman and him do have a co-parenting relationship where they speak all the time.
Yeah.
Like they're brethrens on a daily basis.
Yes. Goes over there.
Hangs out, goes to see his kids.
Right.
It's as if the only thing they don't do is have sex. So my question to you is, what do you like? How do you feel? Would you feel any way about that? And if not, if so, what would you do? Like, how would you handle that?
So I've experienced a relationship like that. Okay. And, I'm not going to lie. At the beginning, I was very much like, so, you don't want to seem insecure, right? So you kind of just watch and they're like best friends. And it would, that word would even come up. That's my best friend. You know what I mean? And you're kind of just like, okay.
Girl.
He's like, it's like I had a kid with my best friend.
Girl.
And I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of just watch, they go over there. You hear them on the phone. I can hear both sides of the phone because, mother's on speaker. She seems really cool. And, I'm telling myself, Tareen, just don't ask. He told you what it is, right? Just don't ask. Don't seem insecure. Just don't ask. Just don't ask. Until one day I'm like, so.
Oh, girl, that's me.
I had to ask. I'm just like, y'all are just so cool. Like, you're so good as parents. You know what I mean? You're so good as parents. Are you sure? Are you sure it's over? Are you sure, you guys? And he's like, listen, she does her thing, I do my thing. You know what I mean? We weren't good in a relationship, right?
For what reason?
Mostly him.
Okay.
Right? Which that made me, I'm just like, they weren't good in a relationship.
Okay, one more, just a little side note. How did you feel with the dynamics? What I mean is, did you feel like he treated you, or you were getting the same energy from him that he was giving her?
I did.
Okay.
I did. And
that
I think
is the big difference.
Yeah, I did. And I think that's why it didn't stress me as much.
That's right. Because let me tell you something.
If he didn't, then it would be like, then you guys should be together.
That situation is it's hella hard for anybody, whether it's a guy or a girl. Right. It's a hard situation. Right. Because you have this relationship with your baby mom or baby father. Right. And you have another person who you're with. Right. If you don't know, as the person who's in the relationship, the person who is got a baby mom or baby father that you're really close with, and you have someone, if you don't know how to juggle that to make sure that the new person that's in the relationship feels just as important, or gets just as much energy as the ex, then you're gonna have problems. Yeah. And I'm that person. Yes. Like I need to know that I'm still the queen. Right. Middle business, if you have a relationship with her, that's great. That's great. Wonderful. Keep that going. Right. But don't make me feel less than at any time, because the minute I start to feel like she's top and I'm at the bottom, then we got a problem.
Always. That's the best sentence I use. Don't let me feel less than. Do whatever you need to do.
This is it.
Do anything you need to do. Don't let me feel less than. And that means also you don't have the capacity and the capabilities to engage in more than one type of relationship. So then chill where you are.
So would you be open? I'll ask both of you guys. Would you be open to have some type of like a relationship with the baby mom?
Of course, absolutely.
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 Absolutely, I would.
Yes.
But, and this is another piece too. You need to be that person who wants that. If you are the one who's got, like I said, the same thing, you got a relationship with two women, you need to make sure that that both of them feel good with each other
yes.
too. They don't have to necessarily be friends,
right?
But as long as you know that your woman is at rest and peace with your relationship with your baby moms, and vice versa.
Yeah,
those are the very important pieces.
And that's where that whole, when you see the when co-parenting works, that's when it works.
It's all about, if you know, again, it's all about, I come back to the Libra scales. It's all about that balance, that equilibrium.
Yeah.
For me, like I don't function well when my scale is tilted. I don't do that.
And you don't say.
Yeah, you know that. Already, be quiet.
Mr. I look like you had a question there.
Yeah. Okay. So what if you guys weren't cool and you had the child? Like, what would happen?
Sorry, what do you mean if we weren't cool?
Like, say if you and the baby mom weren't cool.
Right.
And the child was visiting my house?
Visiting the house, or your child is visiting.
That has nothing to do with it. You better make sure you try my child proper, and I'll try your child proper.
Because some would say like that it's not happening.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't have no. The kids I ain't got no problem with the kids. The kids are innocent. They're innocent in this, and that's what I don't get. How some women can be so petty, or men can be so petty like that, and use the child that has nothing to do with it against the mother or the father. Mm-hmm. No. We're not playing those games. We're not.
Yeah, children are innocent.
And I don't believe in. I'm very afraid of what kind of life I can have when I'm doing that type of mean thing. Those types of mean things.
Karma.
I don't have to like her, but it's not about your kid. Not about the kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I've seen it where they use.
Yes.
The child, and it's like, come on, like where are you going to get from it? Like
and that's why, I don't.
It's dumb.
And I think that's when it's not about it's the adult relationship, and they don't know how to separate the two.
Exactly,
that's what it is.
Same thing in court. Yes. Like for me, it wasn't about how I felt about him because I couldn't stand him. Mm-hmm. It's about my son. Mm-hmm. What is the relationship between him and his father? And I'm going to make sure that. Even though I don't want to, and deep down I would like you to take a walk into some traffic sometime. Mm-hmm. That's fine. That's my feeling. But for my child, I don't want him to grow up either and know that I had a hand in trying to keep him from his dad.
Right.
That's on his dad. So when he gets older, he knows his father's the one who screwed off. Then that's between him and his father, because it wasn't me. I was the one trying to help him find him, and I would help him find him to this day if he wants me to. Mm-hmm. Right? That's not, again, it's not about me. It's not about my feelings. When we were in court, I gave him the most amount of options for a deal. I don't know any baby mom who would do that for someone she couldn't stand.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. I gave him the best deal in mediation, and he still decided not to take it. And he didn't take it because he didn't have any intention of doing it anyway. It was just about, again, me.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see, like for me, it's I've always been in a situation where I was the mediator for a situation, right? And I told one of my close friend, like, listen, don't make anybody turn you into a monster. Mm-hmm. If you weren't built like one. Don't make nobody turn you into that monster.
Right.
And no matter how many times I've said it,
still happens.
It turned and whatnot. So,
I just want to something came into my mind as I was listening to you talk. And what have you ever encountered something that was like a red flag for you with your son when dating someone? What would that be? Where you're just like, you know what? I cannot do this. Mm-hmm. I have my son. I just don't like how he maybe. I know for myself, I have an issue with the way people talk, and if I'm I'm on the phone and you say something like, "Oh, go do it with your kid" or something, and the tone is just, then I'm like, yeah, not for me. You know what I mean? Like I immediately am like.
Switch.
Yes, immediately switch. For me, that's one of my red flags.
No, I can't say that I have, honestly.
No way. No. Yeah, I find, certain little things like that will just make me feel.
So was it like an argument, or
no,
or they wanted to spend time and you couldn't, or
no? It's just the way they talk about. I don't know. It's a weird thing for me. If the tone is off, like if I'm in,
yeah, I understand that, but I think for me it's just that where did the tone come from?
Maybe it was like, maybe I was putting like, hey, I'm gonna put my children to bed or whatever, and it's like, okay, well, go put your kids to bed, but it was not like okay, go put your children to bed.
Yeah,
it was like
the tone was kind of go put your
kids to bed, and I'm just like, you know, that like, oh, okay, so you're on that.
Yeah, it was kind of like I don't care about your kids. Like,
exactly.
Go put them in bed so we can hang out.
So then that's an immediate for me. You're not hearing back from me. Yeah, that's an immediate. You're not hearing back.
That would be a deal breaker.
Yeah, just the conversation alone, you know, because it's like I have to spend so much time with my kids, especially being a single mom. Mm-hmm. It's just you and your kid. You know what I mean? So if I'm inviting you into my space, you better act right.
Okay.
You know, because I'm inviting you into my space.
Respect.
And this is me and my children's space. you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I'm telling you, it's hard.
No, I just wanted to
I wish your male guest came on, so I would love to hear the male perspective about dating with children. You know, that might have to be a part 2. We have tons of part 2s on this show. Pure part 2s, but definitely I would love to see the perspective of a male, because now they're dealing with baby mamas that love them. We deal with baby daddies that still love us, and they're dealing with baby mamas that still love them. You know what I mean? And having to meet someone, and
some of these ladies are crazy,
and some dysfunctional baby moms too.
Yeah,
right.
And
absolutely.
And there's a lot of stand-up men out there who are taking care of their children.
Yep.
And have to deal with crazy baby moms, ones who have already been deemed as inappropriate.
Right.
Or, you know, not inappropriate, but in, what's the word I'm looking for?
Crazy.
Unfit. That's the word I'm looking for. So, you know, I know a couple people too who are in situations like that where their boyfriend's got a crazy baby mom, or one that's either been on, you know, substance abuse,
right?
And you know, always trying to use the child as a pawn to try and get back in with the guy, you know. And I feel it for them. I feel it for them, and this is where, like I said, I come back to the whole. Sometimes I'm like, I'm not sure if I would want to date anyone with kids again, but it would depend. It would depend on who their ex is, honestly. I would have to I think from now I would have to do I would have to do a little trial period to see you know how things are with baby moms before I decide whether I'm going to continue pursuing a relationship with someone.
And I know for me too, like when dating, I feel like I need to find someone who can stand up to the kids I'm dad if it ever had to come to that. You know what I mean?
Gosh.
Like stand up and be eloquent and direct and, you know, clear, complete, and concise. But maybe if you have to throw hands, you're able to also. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just in case. Just in case. So I can't deal with no, you know, wishy-washy, slight man. Like, I need to see how you carry yourself.
I would say that's why I was happy with my ex, after Chris.
Yes.
Because Chris, damn it, I said his name.
That's okay.
That's okay. It's okay. He's probably not on social media. He's under a rock somewhere. He was he didn't play about me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He didn't play about me, and he almost fought my baby father.
Oh wow.
So. Yeah, that's one thing I can say about him. I swear, when you feel protected by a man, it's the most amazing
feeling ever. Security.
I just want to tell you, any men out there who understand this, when your woman sees you as not just her man, but her bodyguard, I swear to you, it is the sexiest thing ever.
Right. No, that's true. That's true. That's true, especially if they can do that for you and the kids. And you know, make them a priority for them, you know?
Priority.
But it's also important that the woman puts the baby father, or try to put the baby father in check.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. And that's before he would have to do that. Before my partner, whoever I'm with at that time, would have to do that.
Well, just a disclaimer: nobody got to worry about that with me. I fell off the face of the earth. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And we're laughing about it. My bad.
It is funny.
No, that's good. That's really good. So what's the one, somebody maybe just entering the dating world right now and has children, and, what are 1 or 2 tips that you could give them?
Take time.
Take time.
Mm-hmm.
That would be first one. Take time.
Yeah.
When the time comes, when you feel comfortable, you should have a dialogue with the person you're with to find out that, of course, how comfortable they are, with meeting your child. Have a dialogue with your child as well. And I pay attention, observe, analyze, see how things are. Talk to your child after they meet the person.
Right.
How do you feel about them?
Right.
It's very important. And then go from there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the main thing, is the dialogue with the children. Children are smart. Like you said at the beginning, they're a great meter on who you're dating. They're a great meter to gauge and see how that's going. So I think having the conversation is so important. Make sure that they're okay. Make sure that they're ready, because they may not be ready. You know what I mean?
If they ain't ready, just hide the person.
Right? Let's just do what I used to do and just hide as a grown woman. Right. You know what I mean? Hiding and be like, okay, guys, I'm going here or there, but I had my private life and I had that life. So definitely having that dialogue and definitely taking the time and letting your experiences shape you and help you to make those right decisions. Because we know, you know what I mean? I think you sound like you've been through enough also.
Oh, boy.
That the decisions you're making, if they're better decisions than what we normally make. Right?
Well, we're coming to the end of our show.
Yes.
First of all, I want to take the opportunity to thank Miss Rita Pearl for coming out.
Right.
Thanks for having me, guys.
On behalf of the team here at EIP Lounge, I'm your boy, Mr. I Am.
It's your girl, Miss Jareen, and shout out again to Rooms and First Lady Shay.
Yeah. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for listening, and have a great night and all the best. Take care. God bless. Peace.
EIP.